Imagine for a second that you are a highly trained FBI agent, part of the elite evidence response team. It's December, a blizzard is howling outside, and you've just received word of a mass shooting at Brown University in Rhode Island. Every second counts. Evidence is being lost, the scene is chaotic, and you need to get there now. You look for the FBI's multi-million-dollar Gulfstream jet, the one your taxes pay for specifically for these emergencies. But there's a problem. The plane isn't available. Why? Because the director of the FBI, Kash Patel, is using it as his private Uber to visit his parents in South Florida. This isn't a scene from a political thriller. This is the reality described in a shocking new whistleblower report sent to the Government Accountability Office and the Justice Department's Inspector General. While FBI agents were forced to drive through a dangerous snowstorm all night to reach Providence by 9 a.m. the next day, the man in charge was enjoying the Florida sun on a government-funded G5 jet. But the scandal goes much deeper than a simple flight. It's about the total collapse of the accountability brand that put Kash Patel in power in the first place.
I'm Camilo Motato, a certified public accountant reporting for Thursday News. In my world, we conduct audits to find internal control failures. When a CEO uses company assets for personal gain, it's a red flag for fraud and embezzlement. But when the director of the FBI does it, it's a breach of public trust that carries a quantifiable cost, not just in dollars, but in the integrity of our justice system. Today, we are going to audit the Kash Patel brand versus the Kash Patel reality. We're looking at the flight logs, the redacted files, and the $15,000 per takeoff price tag of hypocrisy. Let's start with the hard data from the whistleblower report obtained by Senator Dick Durbin. The FBI has two primary jets for rapid response. Jet 1 was in South Florida with Kash Patel on December 13th, the day of the Brown University shooting. He didn't return until the afternoon of the 14th. Jet 2. Patel specifically ordered this plane to be held on standby for the hostage rescue team. Now, as a CPA, I look at resource allocation. FBI officials were baffled by this order. Why? Because you don't call the hostage rescue team from Quantico, Virginia, for a crime scene in Rhode Island when you have SWAT teams in Boston and New York minutes away. By freezing that second plane, Patel effectively grounded the evidence response team. He chose a theoretical standby over a real-world emergency. And according to the sources at MS Now, the reason he was in Florida wasn't a secret mission or a national security briefing. He was visiting family. Before he took office, Kash Patel was one of the loudest critics of government waste. He famously went on news programs to attack former director Chris Wray for using a G5 jet to go on vacation. He said, and I quote, "Maybe we ground that plane. It's $15,000 every time it takes off. Minimum. As an accountant, I love those numbers. $15,000 per takeoff. That is taxpayer money. If Patel truly believed that was government waste under Chris Wray, then how does he justify it now? Since taking the lead at the FBI, Patel's schedule looks more like an Olympic tour than a law enforcement career. He's been seen partying with the U.S. men's hockey team, popping over to Milan, and now flying home on the taxpayer's dime while his agents are literally stuck in a snowstorm. This isn't just a lax job. It's a fiscal disaster. But wait, it gets worse. Patel didn't just build his brand on saving money. He built it on draining the swamp, and specifically, releasing the Jeffrey Epstein Black Book. Do you remember his interview? He was asked, "Who has the Black Book?" He replied, "The FBI." That's Hoover Power times 10. On day one, we roll out the Black Book. Well, it's past day one. Camilo. And what has happened? In a recent podcast, Patel, the man who now controls the files, claims there is no credible information that Epstein trafficked women to anyone else. He called it a fib. But here is the audit trail. The unredacted files that were shown to Congress were still 70% redacted. They were unredacted from the DOJ's edits. But the FBI, Patel's FBI, got in there first and blacked out the names. Now, let's look at how the FBI is trying to balance the books on this scandal. After the whistleblower report went public, FBI spokesperson Ben Williamson issued a statement. He claimed that the Boston field office had agents on the scene at Brown University within 2 hours. He argued that since this was a state-led investigation, the FBI was only in an assisting role. And here is the masterpiece of spin. He said that Patel offered the plane if needed, but it wasn't needed.
As a CPA, I deal with management assertions all the time. But an assertion is only as good as the evidence backing it up. Let's follow the logic. If the director of the FBI is sitting on a multi-million-dollar jet in Florida while a mass shooting occurs on the East Coast, and his defense is they didn't ask for the plane, we have a massive failure in leadership protocol. In any high-stakes corporation, if the CEO is using the company jet for a golf trip while the main factory is on fire, that CEO is fired. The excuse that the factory manager didn't call for the jet wouldn't hold up in an audit, and it shouldn't hold up here. The fact is, agents, the people actually doing the work, had to drive through a blizzard. They risked their lives on the road because the assets they are promised for their mission were being used for a personal visit. This is the definition of misappropriation of resources. What does this tell us about the current state of the FBI? For years, Kash Patel's entire political identity was built on the concept of the deep state. He told us that the government was weaponized, that officials were living like kings on our dime, and that he was the swamp drainer who would bring austerity back to Washington. But as soon as he got the keys to the G5, the accountability theater was packed up and put away. Suddenly, $15,000 per takeoff is a perk of the job. This is what we call regulatory capture. The person sent to fix the system has been captured by the very luxuries he once criticized. When an FBI director before him used the jet for personal travel, Patel was on cable news calling for the plane to be grounded. Now, he's doing the exact same thing but worse, because he's doing it while his own elite evidence response team is literally stuck in a snowstorm. This isn't just a double standard. It's a total abandonment of the principles that earned him the job. There is a reason this information came from a whistleblower and not an official report. According to the reporting, sources spoke confidentially to avoid potential retribution. Think about the atmosphere inside the FBI right now. If agents feel they cannot report the misuse of government jets without fearing for their careers, the internal controls of the Bureau are broken. In accounting, we call this a hostile control environment. When the person at the top uses power to silence critics and hide their personal expenses, the risk of systemic corruption skyrockets. Patel isn't just flying a plane. He's creating a culture of fear where the rules only apply to the people at the bottom, never the director at the top. We have to circle back to the Epstein files because this is the ultimate audit failure. Patel promised total transparency. He said he would roll out the black book, but now he stands in front of cameras and tells the public there is nothing there. If there is nothing there, why are 70% of the names still redacted? Why did the FBI get in there first before Congress could see the files? As a CPA, if a client tells me the books are clean but refuses to show me the receipts, I know they are lying. Patel is telling the American people that the receipts don't exist, while he is the one holding the shredder. This isn't draining the swamp, it's just changing who gets to play in the mud. The final audit on Kash Patel's tenure so far is a disclaimer of opinion, meaning the records are so messy and the behavior so contradictory that we can't even begin to verify his integrity. He has become the very thing he spent a decade attacking. He is the G5 flying, file redacting, family visiting phase of the new deep state. The $15,000 per takeoff isn't the biggest cost here. The real cost is the loss of faith in the FBI. If the director treats the Bureau like his personal playground, how can we expect the agents on the ground to stay motivated? How can we expect the public to trust that the investigation was ever handled with honesty? But I want to hear from you. Does Kash Patel still have the authority to lead, or has his brand officially hit zero? Should the G5 jets be grounded once and for all, or is this just how Washington works now? Let me know in the comments. Your perspective is the only audit that matters in the end. I'm Camilo Motato, Certified Public Accountant for THU News. Subscribe to stay updated on the audits that matter. Stay informed and stay safe.